Welcome to Fashion, Faith, and Flair, and today's faith message is conforming ourselves to Christ, not to Christian cliques. Yes, Christian cliques do exist within the church walls. Cliques are defined as a small group of people with shared interests or other features in common who spend time together and do not readily allow others to join them. According to Lindsay Brady at crosswalk.com, there are 10 common cliques. I'm going to go over those today, as well as offer some stories of experiences that I've had with Christian cliques. The first clique is the group of moms. Now, they are the volunteers of the church. They're the ones with the kids. They're highly involved, and every church needs that group of moms. The next group is the third generationers. Now, these are the people that have been with the church for many, many years. They know all the history of the church. They know where the church has been, and they are wise. They are the elders of the church, and I always love being in classes with these third generationers because I can learn the history and I can benefit from their knowledge of the church. The third group is the single ladies. Now, you'd think being single, I'm a part of this group, but I really never have been a part of the group. And these are the ladies that are involved in the women's ministries, and I've appreciated what they've done within the church walls, just never been really a part of that. The next group is the worship team. Now, I have been a part of music ministries before, and I found that because we practiced together, we spent a lot of time together, we were on the platform during service together, I tended to hang out a lot with the people in the choir because I got to know them really well. The only time that I would be able to really socialize with other people was during Bible studies. And that's when I got to know people outside of that music ministry. So that is one of the groups. The next group is, and I didn't know this existed, this was a new one for me, the worship band groupies. Yes, believe it or not, they exist in the church. And I got to thinking, I thought, well, that does make sense, because I was always under the misconception that people inside church were more spiritual, that they didn't make mistakes, that, people call it sin, whatever you want to call it, that they were above it all. And when I realized, hey, they're hurting people in church, they make mistakes, they're human, I'm human, those expectations went out the door. And I realized that everyone's just trying to do this, walk through this life the best they can, and we all have issues, and we're just trying to get better. So it didn't really surprise me that there were the worship band groupies, because if you were a groupie outside the church walls, which I've known some, I haven't been one myself. I never was much into that. Although I love music, I just never followed specific groups. But I have known people to do that, and it's a different environment, and it apparently exists inside the church walls. The next group is the inner circle. And these are an important part of a church because these tend to be the people that give a lot of service to the church. They give their resources. They're the backbone of the church, and they are important, and they are a part of the church community. The next group is the Bible nerds. And I love this group because although I'm not a Bible nerd, I tend to be a concept person. I'm not one to quote scripture. I can't tell you every single thing about scripture. I get the general idea, and I can communicate that in a layperson way. I appreciate the intellects of the church, and sometimes they are in leadership positions where they are teaching a Bible study or a Sunday school class, or they can be people, actually participants in the classes. And I always appreciate the Bible nerds. The next group, and I have been a part of this group, that's the second row from the back. They are the people that just want to come in. They don't want to really get to know people. They're consumer Christians, and I've been there. I remember when I had been outside the church for many years. Wasn't a part of a church community. That was my own choice. It was not a wise choice, but it's a choice that I did make. And when I came back, first of all, I started in the balcony, and I was on the back row along the wall, and I ended up in the second from the back row. And for a long time, I just came in and I left. And I tend to be a person that likes to get involved in service to the church. It was a while. It was a season, and it was where I was at the time. So I certainly understand the people, the second row from the back people and the back wall people. I'm quite familiar with that group. The next group, or clique with inside the church, is the youth workers. And they are important because that's the next generation of the Christian church, is the youth. And so when you have people that dedicate their lives to the youth, it's an important ministry, and I'm very appreciative of the people that do that. I've never been involved in the youth. This is one of the cliques that I have not. Now, I can say, when I was on the altar team for my church, I happened to be standing near the kids' church where they would be seated, and so I had the opportunity to minister to children. And I have to say, the one thing about children is they have such pure hearts, and 9 times out of 10, when they came up for prayer, it was for someone else. And I just thought that was so cute and loving to see that among the youth, to really care about others. So the last Christian clique is pastors' kids. Now, I obviously don't have experience with that. I have known people that have been pastors' kids. And I remember one time someone sharing in one of our classes that he had been a PK, and I'm thinking, what is a PK? And so I had asked him, and he goes, I was a pastor's kid. And from what I could see, that would be a difficult role to be in, because honestly, kids are kids, and pastors' kids are not the leaders of the church. They need to be treated like the other kids in the church and be held to those standards, not the standards of their parents. It's hard enough to be in ministry and leadership. For a kid, that's a whole different story, and they're just trying to grow up and like everyone else. And so I think that they're important. I think it's a hard role. It's a hard place to be. And I think for us to have compassion for them, that's needed. So Psalms 133:1 in the NIV version says, how good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. We can be different, yet be unified. Now, cliques are familiar, and I understand people like to be with people, like-minded people, have shared interests, and I understand that, and I completely see where that can happen. I also believe that we need to be open to all different types of people, and to have open arms. As Christians, we need to do that. I mean, look at Jesus himself. When he walked the earth, he spent his time with people that weren't only in his inner circle, but people that the church leaders of the time frowned upon, like, because they were holier than thou. And so I think it's really important that we actually, just be a part of groups that maybe aren't like ourselves. Let me give you an example. Years ago, I decided that I wanted to be in a marital class, and it was a small group that met in the pastor's office, and I wasn't married. And so I went there on a Sunday morning, and I asked the people in the class, I said, look, I'm not married. I said, but I would love to take this class if you would allow me to do that. And they said, sure. They were saying, we wish we had had this class before we got married. And they let me in with open arms. And I was very appreciative of that because I learned a lot. Now, granted, here I am many years later, I'm not married. Hey, I still had that knowledge from years ago of when I took that class. So if I ever do get married, at least I have the knowledge of the class. But the point was they were open to me, even though I didn't have the exact same experiences that they had. Another example that I can think of that was an absolute blessing in my life was there was a Sunday school class that one of the pastors of the church was conducting that in the bulletin, I didn't meet that age range. I mean, I was way over the age limit, and I really had a lot of respect for this pastor. And so one day I ran into him in the hallway, and I said, hey, I would love to invade your class. And he goes, well, Cindy, you come invade my class. And I said, well, I'm over the age limit according to the bulletin. And he goes, that's okay, come anyway. And so it was one of the best experiences that I ever had because I learned so much from the people in this class. It was a class where we could discuss anything. It was a safe space. There was no shame if there were different differing viewpoints of Scripture. It was just a wonderful experience. And I'm glad that he allowed me to attend that class because I will never forget the class and the people that were in that class because I learned so much. Another example was that I was attending a Bible study at a Wednesday night Bible study at another church, and it was a multi-generational class. And I got perspectives from someone 18 and someone 80. And it was amazing because I could learn from people and not be in an echo chamber where everyone believed like I did or had the same exact experiences. So I leave you with the fact that, cliques are cliques, and they're part of the world and they're part of church. I ask that you be mindful that when you see people that are not in a clique, that you're open and welcoming to them. They may not look like you. They may not have the same background as you. They may not be the same age, the same ethnicity. We have to be inclusive within our churches, and we have to be open to loving everyone and being open to being friendly and allowing people to join us even when our experiences are different. So with that, I'll go ahead and end this. If you liked the video, go ahead and like it. And if you have any comments, I'd love to hear your experiences with Christian cliques. And I post twice a week, so if you want to subscribe, go ahead and hit that notification bell. And I look forward to the next time. Have a fantastic day.